Update from the road. As you can see, something has changed. I'm in a car. I'm driving on a very straight road, so it's very safe. Nobody's here. Um, yeah, so what happened? Yesterday, I did the longest tour so far, 170 kilometers, or as they say here, 170 clicks, um, just from south of Winnipeg to Grand Forks. And yeah, the border crossing, there was a long waiting line for cars, and I decided that it was not for cyclists since there were rain clouds collecting or accumulating at the sky. So I moved forward to the line and sneaked in. And after half an hour, I was on the other side. I did have to hand in an apple because the apple was from Chile. You can only bring food to the US via land that has been produced in the US or in Canada, um, which obviously didn't apply to my coffee, to my banana, and to my muesli. So I didn't mention it, but don't tell anybody. So that was number one. Challenge number one, that worked out well. Very friendly people, all very good. And then I was in North Dakota. I still am in North Dakota, and that is a place where there's, it seems, even people than in southern Manitoba. So there were, on the total 170 kilometers, there were 2 gas stations, and that was it. And it was a lot of meadows with hay balm, so where they had cut the grass and produced hay. And you can see this for literally hundreds of kilometers. So there was nothing for the eye that changed, but everything was green, so it was friendly. And I went in broccoli mode, as I call it, which means I'm kind of retracting into myself and just focus on chipping chunks of 10 kilometers at a time. So I'm only focusing on the next 10 kilometers ahead, and then one by one, still not hearing any music or any audiobooks, just being just being there. That's the best thing for me right now. And thankfully, my colleague Barbara had helped in organizing a rental car here, because we have now changed plans. As you may recall, I'm flying out on August 23rd, sorry, to be attending Rizi's funeral and be there with my wife by her side. So we needed to cut the tour a little bit, and we did that in 2 places. One is we cut the blast bit, so the bit from Toronto to Montreal. I'm not getting to Montreal this time. I will do that next time. And we are cutting out a piece in the middle, which is cycling through North Dakota and then Illinois to get to Chicago. I had planned to go on a train anyways, but now I'm just taking a rental car a bit further, going a bit longer, and now I'll be going in one shot to Chicago. That's around 1,100 kilometers. It's going to be an interesting drive. Let's see how I keep myself awake, but I consider it a rest day because, compared to cycling this is much less effort. So the funny thing is, Barbara said, well, they don't have a rental car that would fit your bike. And I said, so just book something anyways. We'll sort something out once we're there. And I arrived at the international airport of Grand Forks, which really isn't that international, I think, and really isn't that big. But the cool thing is, everything is like in one big hall, and there's like, you walk in, you're at the Avios counter, you're number one in line. And the guy says, well, I don't have your car available. I have to give you an upgrade. I said, okay, that's a good start. And he said, well, you can have a two-car sports car Mustang, or you can have a Dodge pickup. Well, I mean, what did I pick, right? So Rosinante is now on the back of the pickup truck, and I always, since I'm a little boy, wanted to drive a pickup truck. I don't know why. It's not the greatest of all experiences, but it's something on the bucket list that I can tick off. And yeah, so now I'm heading to Chicago to meet my friend Kathy Green, and then I'll be moving on to Detroit. Then I'll be giving back the car, and then moving over to the border to Canada, and then cycling the last bit to Toronto again. So I effectively have a couple of break days now that I'm spending in the car. And rest assured, all the costs for, traveling and stuff, they all come from my own pocket. They are not financed by anything that is related to the Cosmic Foundation. So all of this is coming from my own private money, 100% guaranteed. Yeah, so right now it feels like the first part of the tour is coming to an end. That was the first 1,000 kilometers. One biking pants has disintegrated and needed to go, unfortunately. Yeah, I reached the 14th country of my Coaching for a Better World tour around the world by bike. What else is there to say? I haven't met a single cyclist so far, which is really interesting. And it tells you something, that this is a country that is so vast that, I mean, hardly anybody does it. Or if they do it and they go in the same direction, they never meet because you're not fast enough to catch up to the other guys. Maybe something like that. I don't know. And I'm probably haven't chosen the most frequently used route. That is also an option. So this is where we stand. I had a great night in a cheap, inexpensive, let's say, hotel, which very friendly service. It was clean, it was dry. I had a roof over my head when the next thunderstorm was going down outside, and just felt great to look at the thunderstorm and don't be concerned about it, how to stay dry, and so I really like that. And I walked over barefoot through the storm to a sports bar and had an ice cold beer and a chili burger, and it was the best thing on earth. It was pure heaven. Really, really nice. Slept like a baby. And now even the plan with the rental cars worked out. Maybe as an insider, so having a rental car, having access to a rental car that you rent at one place and then drop off at another place, that has not been a common thing in COVID. So when I was at the North Cape, getting back from the North Cape was quite a challenge, which is why I took the ship, the Hurtigruten. And we also had other occasions, like last year, where I tried to get to the airport by rental car, and it wasn't possible because due to COVID, all the rental car fleets had reduced their inventory drastically, so they didn't have any spare cars to give away, which is why I ended up taking the train, the Canadian, which was an awesome experience. It's like the US version of the Orient Express, so I wouldn't miss that for a bit. And now, since things are back to normal, more or less, there are some cases where you can actually rent a car at one place and give it back at another location. So interesting how COVID has affected all different parts of society and in ways that were not necessarily foreseen. So, however, even though if I'm driving in a car, the fundraising tour isn't over, it just changed means of transportation. Rosinante is in the back on the truck, or how you call that. Maybe you can see her. I think she's a little bit jealous. But she has a nice outside view there, and doesn't need to work so hard, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's the update from the road. Hope you're all doing fine, having a good time, and wish you all a beautiful weekend wherever you are. And I'll be in touch soon. Bye for now.